Hello, it's Marika Lake here and welcome to my channel. I live on the west coast of Australia with my hubby Greg and we homeschool our 4 kiddos. We have Will who's in grade 9, Em is in grade 5, Cruz is in grade 3 and Jackson is in grade 1, and we are into our 4th year of homeschooling here in the Lake House Homeschool. In today's video, I'm going to chat with you all about how Gather Round Homeschool works. If you've been around my channel for any length of time, you would see that we use Gather Round Homeschool unit studies here in our homeschool, and we absolutely love them. But I do get a lot of questions about how Gather Round works and how we make it work for our family. So I thought I would do a video dedicating to all of those kind of questions. Now, Gather Round Homeschool is unit studies, and the unit studies include all of the subject areas bar math. So you do have to add in your own math curriculum when you are using the unit studies from Gather Round Homeschool. So when we choose a unit study to do, that unit study is going to cover language and literacy, social studies, so history, art, Bible, science, geography, all of those things are included in the curriculum, and then you just choose your own math program to add in to the unit study. Now, this is why I love using Gather Round Homeschool, because it does include all of the subject areas. So I don't have to go off and buy all these kind of different curriculums to put together to make sure I'm covering all the learning areas for my children. I can just buy the one unit study and add in my math, and then I have got everything that I need to do to teach my children. And so it's kind of like a minimalist homeschool approach, and I absolutely love it for that reason, that it's just open and go and it is really easy to use. So that point again, the Gather Round Homeschool is unit studies, and each unit study has all of the learning areas included, and you just add in math. Now, some people get really confused on the Gather Round Homeschool website about the years. So when you go onto the website, you can see that the unit studies are organized into years, and they have 4 years. So they have year 1, year 2, year 3, and year 4. And then if you go in and look at the unit study, say in year 1, you will see that there's about 12 different unit studies in year 1 and about 12 different unit studies in year 2, and so on. Now, how it's designed is, when it says year 1, that is not all the unit studies that you would do if you were in year 1 or first grade, or if you were 6 years old. What it is designed, they've designed it like it's a 4-year program. And so the very first year that you start using Gather Round, you would use all of the unit studies in year 1. Then in the second year you're using Gather Round Homeschool, you would use all of the unit studies in year 2. So on for year 3 and year 4. And when you get to your 5th year of using Gather Round unit studies, you then go back to the beginning and choose the unit studies from year 1, and so you will do them all twice, because the idea is, if you work through for 4 years and then you go back on the 5th year, your child is older and they will be working at a higher level, and so there's different activities and different learning in the higher level. So that's how it's designed, so that you would go through all of the unit studies twice. But in saying that, you can use any unit study. You don't have to do them in order. Now, here in my house, I've kind of been going through in order, but there are some unit studies that we just don't want to study. So for example, the very first unit study is Native American birds. And we're here in Australia and we didn't really want to do a unit study on Native American birds. So we just skipped that and went on to the next unit study, I think, which was, I've got no idea, maybe Asia unit study, and we did that one. And so I kind of work through, if there's ever one I don't want to do, then I just skip over that and I go on to the next one. I have used unit studies from different years. I've done some in year 1 and I've done some in year 2. So you don't actually have to do them all in order. You can pick and choose and do whatever unit study that you would like to do in any order. When you purchase a unit study from Gather Round, there's different ways that you can purchase the unit. Here in Australia, I purchased the digital family bundle so that I can print off my curriculum at home and use it that way. If you are in the States or Canada, you can have the hard copies posted to you, so you can purchase the curriculum in a hard copy and you can get them in family bundles as well. Sometimes you you can just buy the teacher's guide and then one notebook. If you're only teaching one child, it might be cheaper for you to do it in that way. But I know for me, who use one unit study for all of my children, it's definitely more cost effective to buy the family bundle where I get all of the unit studies and the teacher's guide. And then if I'm going to be using that unit study more than once, so we will do it again in another 4 years' time, I already have purchased all the other notebooks and I can print them off really easily. I hope that makes sense. But when you purchase the unit study comes with a teacher's guide, and in the teacher's guide you definitely need that. It has all the information that you read aloud to your children, and it comes with, there's pictures in there as well, and other useful information like a scope and sequence is included. There's book list, there's reading log pages, all sorts of fun stuff in that teacher's guide. So you get a teacher's guide and then you get all of the student notebooks. And so I've just got it here. They have a pre-reader notebook, which is recommended for children who are 3 to 5 years old. Then they have an early reader notebook, which is recommended for children who are 6 to 8 years old. Then they have the early elementary notebook, which is recommended for children who are 8 to 10 years old. They have the upper elementary notebook, which is recommended for children who are 10 to 12 years old. Then they have a middle school book, which is for 12 to 15-year-olds, and a high school book, which is for 16 to 18-year-olds. So when you purchase that family bundle, you'll get the teacher's guide and then all of those notebooks. And then it's up to you. You can place your child where you feel like they would fit best, what notebook would work for them. So if you've got a child who's quite advanced, you might pop them up a level higher, or you might want to put your child a little bit lower if they're a little struggling a little bit more. That's what I love about it. You can place your child wherever you like. And so then you print out a notebook for each of your children. So they will all listen to you read aloud from the teacher's guide. Then they will have their own individual notebook that's targeted at their level that they will work on based on the lesson that you just read aloud. So usually there's about 4 or 5 pages that go along with each lesson. And every time you do Gather Round, you read aloud, they'll do their pages. Say they've got 5 pages. They might have a language and literacy page, a science page, a history page, an art page, and a Bible page. And so over the whole unit study, you'll definitely cover all of the learning areas. But that's how it works with the teacher's guide and the student notebooks. The unit studies are 20 lessons long, and they are designed to do 1 lesson a day. So 1 lesson includes you reading aloud from the teacher's guide. They also have a list of videos that are usually on YouTube that they might recommend that you watch that goes along with reading aloud. And then your children complete their pages in their notebook. There's usually about 5 pages to complete in each lesson, and that's all. And then of course you add in math and anything extra that you want to do. So the 1 unit study should take you 20 lessons. We usually do 1 lesson a day. Now here in our homeschool, we only do a unit study every term. So in our school year, we have 4 school terms of 10 weeks each. And I will just do 1 unit study per term. So in 1 year, I only do 4 unit studies. Now I know on the website they have about 12 unit studies for 1 year, because they've included some mini unit studies in there as well, like an Easter unit study, and then they have like American history mini unit studies. Well, we are not going to do that. So what it looks like in our house in a term is we will have 1 unit study, and I usually only do that unit study 3 days a week. We only homeschool 4 days a week here in our house. We have the 5th day, which is like a family day, and that's when we do fun things as a family and any excursions we have planned and things like that. And then we do schoolwork on the 4 other days. 3 of those days is just devoted to doing the unit study. So we'll do the unit study. The children will do the unit study. They will do math. They will read a novel and do maybe some extra writing and spelling. And then on the last day, so the 4th day, we do all of our kind of other stuff that I have added in. So we will do Australian history on that day. We will do our music practice. We will do our Bible curriculum, and so extra like spelling work, extra writing work that we might be doing, and a fun art project. So that's why we only do 1 unit study per term. So we will cover 4 in a year. So being here in Australia, they Gather Round do not ship to Australia. So for us, we purchase the digital bundle so that I can print at home. So I have a printer that is an Epson EcoTank, and I highly recommend Epson EcoTanks. I don't know what version I've got, but the Epson EcoTank is a printer where it has refillable ink. So you don't have to buy the cartridges all the time. You can just get a bottle of ink and fill up the ink, and it's super cost effective. And so we love our printer and we haven't had any problems with it. So I print at home my teacher's guide and all of my kids' notebooks on the Epson EcoTank. And then I just purchased a binder off of, I think, either eBay or Amazon. There's lots out there. I don't really have any recommendations. But yeah, we just bought a binder off of them. We bought the coils, and I just bind all of my stuff at home. And I just find that much more cost effective than going to somewhere like Officeworks and getting them to print and bind. If you don't have a binder, before we had a binder, I was just putting my kids' work into a 2-ring binder, and we would just do it that way. You can definitely do it that way, up to you. But that's what I do here in my house. I print at home on my Epson EcoTank, and I just have a binder off of eBay, and I bind all of my own curriculum. Another question that I get all the time is, how do I make this Canadian/American homeschool curriculum work for us here in Australia? Now, moderators here in Australia, they do not mind you using an American curriculum at all, because a lot of the homeschool curriculum that is out there is actually from America. So they don't mind that you use American curriculum. They just want to make sure that you're adding in anything that you need to add in to make sure you're covering all of the areas for the Australian curriculum. So what I do is I always make sure that I add in Australian history and Australian geography. And so what we will do is, as I said, we do the Gather Round unit studies 3 days a week, and then on that 4th day is when we kind of do all of our Australian studies. So I each year I've kind of done something different for Australian studies, and I will throw a link up, a card up the top for those videos, and a link in the description box down below to the different things that I have used to cover learning about Australian history and about Australian geography, so that you can go have a look at the different things and make up your mind about what you would like to use. But I always make sure that I add in Australian history and Australian geography, and then that definitely helps with using an American curriculum, and also for math as well. So I use an Australian math program. We use Maths Online, and we use Math Seeds, which is from the Reading Eggs company. I do use the Good and the Beautiful Math as well, which is American. And then when it just comes to the things that are different, I just substitute those out. So when they're talking about measurement, when they're talking about money, I then use Maths Online to cover those those areas. So it's for my daughter. She loves the good and the beautiful maths, so she likes to do that. And then because we've already paying for the other kids to use maths online, she has an account there as well, which doesn't cost me anything. So anytime it comes across money or anything like that, we jump across to that one. And so when it comes to different spellings or grammar, I will just make any changes that I need to make, whether that's whiting out words and putting the correct spelling over that, then I will just do that. So that's how I make a American curriculum work for us here in Australia. Now, I do add in extra work to our unit studies. What I like to do, if my children have any weak areas in their education, I like to help them out and add in some extra things to give them some extra support. So for some of my children, they struggle with writing and writing projects, and so I just add in an extra writing program. We use Jump In Writing here in our house, which is excellent, and you can just do Jump In Writing for like 10 minutes every day. And so to add in 10 minutes worth of writing to the unit study is super easy. And so I do that the same if my children are if my children are struggling with spelling, then I will just add in another spelling program that we just add into our unit study. So we'll do our unit study and then do, say, a page from a workbook or 10 minutes on reading eggs or something like that. And so the curriculum is pretty well-rounded and has everything that you need. But for me, I just like to add in anything that can help my children in their struggling areas. I hope you found that video helpful. If you have any more questions about Gather Round Homeschool or how it works or anything like that, make sure you just leave a comment in the comments box down below. And if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I love it if you would just hit that red subscribe button. And if you hit the bell notification, you'll be notified about when my videos are up on my channel. Thank you so much for watching my video today, and I will see you next time. Bye. Thank you.